Welcome back, true crime aficionados. Today, we're diving into a case that has puzzled investigators and remains largely under the radar: the mysterious disappearances of Terrence Williams and Felipe Santos. These cases are interconnected, filled with baffling details, and have been cloaked in a disturbing silence. Let's unravel the unsettling truths behind their disappearances. Terrence Williams, a 27-year-old father of four, was last seen on January 12, 2004. He was reportedly picked up by former Collier County Sheriff's Deputy Steve Calkins for driving without a license in Naples, Florida. He never made it to jail and he hasn't been seen since. Felipe Santos, a 24-year-old undocumented immigrant from Mexico, disappeared just 3 months prior on October 1, 2003. He was involved in a minor traffic accident and was also last seen with Deputy Calkins. Santos, too, vanished without a trace. Both men were last seen in the company of the same law enforcement officer under eerily similar circumstances. Yet, despite the glaring connections, their cases have received minimal attention. Let's take a closer look at the strange details and the chilling pattern that emerges. Terrence Williams was known for his love of music and his devotion to his family. On the day he disappeared, he borrowed a friend's white Cadillac to drive to a party. Later that night, the car was found abandoned at the Naples Memorial Gardens Cemetery. The keys were missing, and there was no sign of Terrence. Witnesses reported seeing him being placed in the back of Deputy Calkin's patrol car, but there were no official records of his arrest or booking. Calkins claimed he had dropped Terrence off at a local Circle K gas station, but there was no surveillance footage or witnesses to back up his story. Furthermore, the vehicle was towed from the cemetery at Calkins' request, which was unusual and highly irregular. Terrence's mother, Marcia Williams, filed a missing person report and began her relentless quest for answers. Despite her efforts and the support of community activists, the investigation seemed to hit a wall. Calkins was uncooperative, and the lack of evidence made it difficult to build a case. Felipe Santos' case is equally baffling. Felipe, an undocumented immigrant, worked in construction to support his family. On the morning of October 1, 2003, he was involved in a minor traffic accident while driving to work with his brothers. Deputy Calkins arrived at the scene and reportedly arrested Felipe for driving without a license. However, just like with Terrence, there were no official records of his booking. Calkins later claimed he had let Felipe go at a nearby convenience store, but once again there was no evidence to support this. Felipe's family, who were with him during the traffic stop, never saw him again. The Santos family, along with advocates for immigrant rights, pushed for a thorough investigation, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. Despite the suspicious circumstances and mounting public pressure, the investigations into both disappearances have yielded little. Deputy Calkins was fired for not cooperating with the investigation, but he has never been charged with any crime. Both families continue to search for answers, holding on to the hope that someone will come forward with information that could finally bring them closure. The eerie similarities and the involvement of the same law enforcement officer make this case particularly disturbing. How could two men vanish under such similar circumstances with the same officer involved, and yet no solid evidence or charges emerge? This is not just a case of missing persons, it's a potential abuse of power, a terrifying breach of trust, and a grim reminder of the vulnerabilities faced by marginalized communities. As we dig deeper into the details, questions arise. Were there other potential victims? Why wasn't more done to investigate Calkins at the time? And most importantly, what really happened to Terrence Williams and Felipe Santos? Deputy Steve Calkins had been with the Collier County Sheriff's Office for over a decade before these disappearances. His record was relatively clean, but these incidents raised serious concerns about his conduct and the possibility of misconduct. Calkin's accounts of both disappearances were riddled with inconsistencies. His claim that he dropped both men off at convenience stores without any supporting evidence is highly suspicious. The fact that he failed to file proper reports and did not follow standard procedures further compounds these suspicions. It's crucial to consider the context in which these disappearances occurred. Both men were vulnerable. Terence, an African American man, and Felipe, an undocumented immigrant. Their social and legal statuses may have made them easier targets for someone looking to exploit their vulnerabilities. In the years since the disappearances, both families have tirelessly campaigned for justice. Marsha Williams has become a vocal advocate, working with organizations like the NAACP to keep her son's case in the public eye. Similarly, the Santos family has worked with immigrant rights groups to demand answers and accountability. The community response has been a mix of support and frustration. Many residents of Collier County have rallied behind the families, participating in marches, vigils, and fundraisers. However, there has also been a palpable sense of frustration with the local law enforcement and justice system. From my perspective, the case of Terrence Williams and Felipe Santos is a stark reminder of the potential for abuse within the justice system. The fact that these disappearances occurred under the watch of a single officer with such similar patterns cannot be dismissed as mere coincidence. It points to a deeper, systemic issue that needs to be addressed. The lack of accountability and transparency in these cases is alarming. The families deserve answers, and the community deserves to know that their law enforcement is working to protect, not harm, its residents. This case should serve as a catalyst for change, prompting a thorough review of procedures and an unwavering commitment to justice. As we dig deeper into the details, questions arise. Were there other potential victims? Why wasn't more done to investigate Calkins at the time? And most importantly, what really happened to Terrence Williams and Felipe Santos? These are questions that deserve answers. Their families deserve closure. And as a community, we must demand accountability and justice. If you have any information, no matter how insignificant it may seem, please come forward. These men's lives matter, and their stories must not be forgotten. Thank you for joining us today. Stay vigilant, stay curious, and most importantly, stay safe. Until next time, this is your True Crime Source signing off.